What is up, everyone, and welcome to another week of the Hashira Half Hour. Today we are recapping JJK Shibuya Incident Episode 7, Dull Knife. And honestly, it should really be renamed the Nanami Show. I am Hannah, and I have a confession to make. Secretly, I never found Nanami that hot. That all changed when the Nanami Show attacked. Anyway, I am as always... I'm as always joined by my friends.
Hannah, why would you say something so controversial yet so brave? Some of us have been ride or die since day one, baby girl. I love him. And boy, oh boy, do I have thoughts. And also, I have plenty of not thoughts, just mouth hanging open. We're going to get into it. Passing it to Brian.
Well, goddamn. If I can't hop on the sim train, what am I doing in this podcast? Literally, kind of same. Never thought Nanami was super hot. Never, simped for him before today's episode. And here I am, just in, I'm on the same, train as Emily. She is driving the train, and we are just sitting right behind her. Hannah and I are just like, ooh, ooh.
We jumped on faster. We jumped on faster than Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu jumped onto that Mugen train. Oh, crap. Anyway. I just gave us some bad luck there. Anyway, let's dive into today's Nanami show. And speaking of Nanami, we open right up to him kind of ominously walking around while he says... And I wrote this down. I literally paused it frame for frame so I could write down each sentence. Getting irritated at my own failings has never been and never will be a part of my life. I will simply confront the evils that force this reality upon us, and I will simply... He doesn't finish that last statement as he looks down at his presumed fallen comrade Ijichi. I believe was his name. As he looks down, he flashes back very quickly to Haibara before saying, arrogant bastards. Nanami as a character, and I kind of touched this on our last episode, has always seemed like a very calm character that doesn't really let his emotions get to him. But honestly, this first 30 seconds of this episode has kind of changed all that in my opinion. So thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Nanami, being the corporate type, can't really show his emotions too much and can't really show kind of what's going on. But after seeing Haibara and Ijichi fall, he's in a moment of alone or solemnity, if you will, where he's by himself. He doesn't have to stay strong for anyone else, especially as an adult in the JJK world, when he has how we discussed in the last episode, right? Ino-san looking up to him, even in the moments where he would let his guard down, talking about if they wanted to promote him or not, he still had some sort of performance to put on, so that way he would have faith in going through with the promotion stage and stuff like that. So I definitely think that it's really just a moment that we, as the dramatic irony, right? The dramatic irony of the audience knowing that he actually is a little bit more soft and open than, the characters in JJK think he would be.
This opening sequence and these moments were really powerful. And not just because I love Nanami so much, but again, he is a very important character that we just don't see as much of because he's not part of the main group of people. He's another teacher at the school. And even in the hidden inventory arc that we just saw, he was not really part of that trio either. But we saw in the hidden inventory arc him losing who was in his group, which was the Haibara character who Yuji reminds him of. And that moment was also very fast. We see Haibara on the cot in the morgue, I think, at that point. And we see Nanami defeated in the chair, but it's fast. And yet, the imagery of that moment is haunting because even though it's fast, it's you can tell that it's completely devastating. And I think that that's mirrored really nicely, but in a very devastating way again here, where he sees Ijichi, and the way that Mappa decided to animate this flash to his past, it literally cuts like a knife. It's so fast, you almost don't even realize what you're seeing until it's already happened. And so I think I disagree a little bit with you, Brian, that he has to like continue to put on the show and like kind of swallow those. I think that this triggered something different in him. I think that's what he was trying to do at first until he saw Ejichi's body. And I think that he's going to lose it. Because we saw like the impact of Geto and Gojo kind of dynamic and what losing a friend in that capacity is like. We haven't seen Nanami's reaction to something that is kind of equal for the relationships he would have had at that age and that he has now. Even though it is so brief, I think that this moment is so important.
Yeah, going back to the Haibara piece, if I remember it correctly, Haibara died because they went on a mission together that was supposed to be like a semi-grade 1, and then it turned out to be a local curse that was like haunting the town for like decades or something like that, and it was almost special grade. And Nanami was pissed back then because Haibara had so much hope for the world in such a dark time in the JJK era, so that they were in. I guess that might have been the blue period in their lives too. Or that might be the blue period for Nanami.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's a different aura to him, essentially, in this moment. You know, it just feels very like, and we see it a lot of times in these shows where these people are like fighting some kind of war against really something that is not just regular human like strength, and they lose people. And you know, there comes a point in time where like that the water balloon has to pop the more you fill it, you know, and when you fill your heart with like these emotions, eventually it has to overflow. And I feel like we might be seeing that soon. We'll talk a little bit more about Nanami later, however, because this episode really, as I was rewatching it today, I was like, oh my gosh, we cut to a lot of different things happening. So we're going to try and chug right along through. But we take that break from Nanami to get a little Mei show. And is it quite something? She is honestly just killing time, but she's talking about like what her curse technique is, how she felt she was weak, what she did to make herself feel stronger. She's doing it very creepily, but also is very badass while doing it. And her little brother is cheering her on. We'll talk about that dynamic maybe later. What did you think of this entire encounter?
We don't have to talk about their dynamic. I do not like that. However, Mei does kind of get a boss bitch moment here. You know, they're taking on one of the more humanoid appearing curses that we've seen so far in Shibuya, which I think makes this scene a little bit eerier as well, in that we're not like fighting a massive grasshopper again. But I really like the way that she like posed the question. Like, she's like playing God in this moment. Mm-hmm. She asks like, how would you measure a life? You know, and if I like your answer, maybe I'll let you live. And her brother chimes in and says something to the effect of like, it's however much they're like able to serve you, big sis. And you know, I think that that's interesting in like a very immature version, but then it ends up being, she's like, none of these answers are right, and how would you know anyway, really, because you just took the lives of like all those different people, so you're gonna die. I was never gonna let you live, even if you had answered something that caught my interest. You're going down. And I think that she definitely thinks pretty highly of herself. That being said, like, do some of these curses deserve it? Like, absolutely. So this was pretty cool. Boss ass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did like that kind of walk and stuff. I will say again that she does still remind me of the captain of the Silver Eagles from fucking Black Clover, because that headpiece, that hairpiece in the front, it has to be. I need someone from Mappa to know that this is true. So that's what I think about that to start. Nonetheless, when her little brother chimed in and was like, shh, Mei-sama is talking, and I was like, honestly, that was kind of cool. He was like, no, not your turn. And like, that kind of reinforces what Emily was saying, like playing God at this moment. Like, you don't interrupt God, if you will. So it was just a really cool scene. I liked the entire walk. It was giving like Margot Robbie I don't know. I just feel like Margot Robbie could play May really well.
Definitely boss bitch, babe, like just killing it, literally. Uh, but this is another quick little scene with a lot packed in, but we cut over to Yuji and Megumi, like we're bouncing all over the place. They have successfully destroyed the 3 items. What were they called? Remind me.
They were like talismans.
Yeah, talismans. They were used for the veils. However, it only lifted the veil that was keeping the sorcerers out of Shibuya. The veil keeping Gojo in, and the one trapping the ordinary people in stays in place. So Megumi mentions that there's a possibility that 2 of those talismans they destroyed were either dummies, or that all 3 were used to create this one veil. So, couple questions with this. Do you think they need to find more to lower all the veils? And if so, do you think what went on behind the scenes? Try and get inside the heads of the people that made the veils. Because do you think they made this veil the easiest one to lift, even though sorcerers can now freely move within Shibuya? Or did they think that this was going to be the hardest one? Kind of, let's try and get inside their brains here, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and slide my brain inside Geta's body real quick. Let me just go do that. But yeah, I think the reason why they made this one the easiest to lift is because I don't think it really matters at that point if sorcerers can run freely in Shibuya. They already have Gojo. Like, to a certain extent, they already have us in check. I don't know really how much else we have. We really don't have many other big game pieces here at this point. And I'm not saying that, the rest of the squad here isn't strong, but without the queen, I mean, Gojo's a king, but like the queen in chess is like the best piece here. So without the queen, like we're kind of screwed. And that's just kind of facts. With that being said, I really wish that wasn't the case, that they made this one the easiest, because now even if they can get close, it's very difficult for them to actually do anything about unsealing Gojo, because that is a completely different thing. Like, getting the prison realm would be one thing, because he's still trying to, from what we know, because we haven't seen him yet, he's still buffering in the prison realm because it can't move. And so how would we even get Gojo out is the next question. Like, there's still so many other layers to that onion that Geto knows that there's no problem. Geto, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm getting into their brains specifically, yeah, my thought would be to create like even more confusion and chaos and wreaking havoc and false trails, right? Like a trail of breadcrumbs that leads to like basically nothing. So even though a veil has been eliminated, I kind of don't think that even if they find one more, that's going to solve all their problems. Like if they find one more talisman, because for all we know, it could be like an Easter egg hunt and there's like talismans littered all over the entirety of Shibuya. And we know that like the enemies we're going up against are pretty smart. So I do think that they would have had stuff hopefully better concealed than, just down to 3. That's my opinion. And as far as the sorcerers all getting out and around each other, yes, that means that could be more good sorcerers making their way downtown, walking fast, faces past. It could mean that, but it also means that like there's probably a lot more people like these 3 psychos on the roof also that are going to try to probably split them up and eliminate them, is my guess. Like, you're attracting everybody to one area to probably try to wipe out as many as possible. So like, it's a temporary fix right now. It's a band-aid on a much, much bigger problem that they're still going to have to try to tackle. And I feel like it's not going to be so simple.
Yeah, it's just complicating things for sure. It's something that seemed like it was going to be fairly easy because there were 3 talisman. I want to say talisman for some reason. And there were 3 veils. So it made sense that destroying the 3 of them would mean destroying the 3 veils. But obviously that's not the case. I think I understand why, if that one was the easiest one, why it would be, because they're still keeping Gojo sealed and they're keeping, the innocent non-sorcerers there as well to make sure that they still have that that card to play of like, hey, they can't go all out when they fight us because they're going to kill the humans that are here. So Yuji and Megumi experience this for only a moment before they're forced to jump into action to save Ino, who has been knocked unconscious and is literally falling from the top of the skyscraper, like we just saw in the last episode, but in a much worse way. They're able to catch him, though. They jump in action really quick, and we pick back up on the roof where we left him last, with quite the turn of events going on. You know, we touched on Toji in the last episode, but Granny is essentially ordering Toji's body around, but he refuses, and the Granny is shocked. She states she is careful to always only channel the body information and not the soul information so that the person themselves can't interfere and so mistakes aren't made. However, it seems that Toji's body has defeated the soul of the host, like of the grandson, and he proceeds to kill Granny. Because he's like, you told me to kill all the sorcerers. You're a sorcerer, right? But not before she states that this is impossible. Like, there is no way a body can defeat a soul. A soul will always win. Now, I have a question, because I feel like we saw something similar to this just a few episodes ago when we saw Geto's body fighting against the, curse user that is controlling him. Thoughts on that?
So I definitely have thoughts, and I think that she really messed up picking Toji for this. I think this is like the one person that she shouldn't have chosen to channel. If it had been just about anybody else, it probably would have worked, in my opinion. Toji's whole gag was that he was so physically strong because of like his heavenly restrictions and the fact that he like had to tap into that and build those powers up because he was a member of the Zenin clan that like couldn't see cursed spirits and couldn't really partake the same way, so much so that like that heavenly restriction like gave way to the insane physical strength. And I think that we have forgotten a little bit about like exactly how strong he is, because the most major fight we saw, keep in mind, was against the two other strongest. And so this is something that I think Mappa did also in a really interesting way. The way that he moves on this rooftop is horrifying. It's like we see how fast he is, and we've seen him in action against Gojo and Geto, but keeping in mind Gojo's like the Six Eyes, so like even though Toji is super strong, it's not as much of a fight for Gojo as literally anybody else on Earth. So I think that's interesting looking back at Hidden Inventory. Like, he's animated to look a little bit slower than what it actually would look like to any other human being on Earth. This is like a physical force to be reckoned with. And because of that innate strength that is like specific to Toji's body, of course this other guy didn't stand a chance. It's like his willpower of this like grandson character versus like one of the strongest sorcerers and definitely the strongest sorcerer killer to ever exist. You're not gonna win that battle of will.
I kind of touched on this a little bit in the last episode accidentally. Whoops! But nonetheless, I still think it's a very valid comparison to see how, the sorcerer that is inside, or this entity that's inside Geto's body, is having a lot more of a successful attempt than Granny did, knowing that whoever the sorcerer is has to be extremely powerful, much on a higher scale than Granny was. Now, even still, though, this sorcerer or entity that's inside a Geto is still facing some pushback, right? Still, we got like choked out by Geto's body, and Geto's body still kind of fought back. But Toji versus this rando guy, like, you had to have been like, there's no way she just thought about how this happened. Like, did you really think that your grandson, like, I know every grandma has pride in their grandson, is like, he's the best little sorcerer, look at him go. Nonetheless, did you really think that was gonna work? Like, come on.
I mean, I think it's probably she didn't know that much about him. Like, she didn't know enough about him to know how powerful he was. But, like, yeah, I think there is something to be said hear about the fact that Toji has like completely taken over. Like the grandson is essentially dead too, because he's just here now. Like he's back and he's alive. Geto is not there. You know, Geto is fighting back, but unable to really take over the body or the soul of the person controlling his body. But still interesting to see two kind of similar things happen here and see just how powerful both of them are, that their bodies like can do something like that, because they're both dead, like literally corpses, but it's like written in their DNA essentially. So bouncing over to our three queens, Maki, Nobara, and Nita. Honestly, I was so excited to see Maki fighting. Maki, I'm very quickly realizing I miss a lot because she's probably super high on my list. I just like, there's a lot of characters in JJK that I do enjoy. But they're fighting some curses of their own. They're trying to assess the situation. Maki tells Nobara and Nita to go find Ichichi and that she will cover there, which essentially she'll be doing alone. Yes, the Zenin grandfather, I believe, is there, but he's not doing anything. He's literally asking for sake. Like, he's not helping. So she's fighting alone is what's going to be happening here. As she tells them to do that, she then tells herself that, you know, if Nobara and Nita go outside the veil, they will be able to run if things go bad. They agree and they head out, and I think that's a really powerful moment for Maki, who's essentially pretty much saying, like, at least I know they'll be safe if things go bad, but she's willing to die here, I think is pretty much what she's saying. At the same time that this is happening, Megumi and Yuji are also splitting up, so Megumi can get Ino to safety. Yuji also agrees. He, of course, jokes with Megumi first, you know, saying, like, I know if I die, you'll kill me. And it's a really sweet moment between the two of them. Following up that, Nobara and Nita are greeted by Haruta, and they too split up. Nobara stating she can take him on alone, telling Nita to run, but also, you know, instructions to get to a place of safety. Nothing bad can happen when everyone literally is splitting up like this, right?
Never. It'll be just like the Spider Demon arc. Everyone will be fine.
I mean, everyone was fine in that arc. Like, they were a little bruised, but they all survived.
Yeah, I
Just
don't think
kidding.
anything bad's gonna happen in Shibuya. No, I think everyone's gonna be okay. And I think they're gonna do a silly little dance at the end.
Did you see my reel on Instagram?
No.
Oh, well,
I admittedly did not, but I think everything's fine. They're all gonna be fine.
Yeah.
is that all you have to say about this?
Yep.
All right, well, then we're just gonna move on. So Nobara is doing well to hold Haruta off. However, he is able to chase down Nita with the like sword hand thing that he had and slash her Achilles. I don't know about y'all, but I like literally shouted ow when I saw it, because that, your Achilles, like there's a reason why there's like, I got your Achilles, like that's my Achilles heel or whatever. It's because that's like painful, and then you're out of commission. It was a very calculated hit. Nobara continues to fight and is seemingly holding her own until the fist at the end of the sword punches her square in the chin, and we see this like flash of her brain, and it like immobilizes her. That was insane. Haruta starts to taunt both of them, causing more damage. He's asking who he should kill first. Nobara is trying to force her mouth to work so she can buy some time, but Haruta continues to literally like stab Nita all over her legs. This was painful to watch. Like, this is one of those moments where I was like, I don't need to see all this. It feels all hope is lost. Nobara is fighting back, but she's weak at this point. Someone is closing in, though.
Oh yeah, they are. But before we get there, I do love Nobara trying to fight. This is like not necessarily a good match for her particular curse technique, even though she's super strong. And I hate this guy. I have to say, like, I like this guy, I think, less than Mahito. I just
Hey, that's
really
a
don't
W
like
for
him.
me.
I just really don't like Haruta. And maybe it's because he's like maybe even more childlike than Mahito, and like the way he's treating this like a skipping game and like, oh boy, pretty girls, I'm gonna cut you up.
Yeah.
And like proceeds to do that. I did think that the animation of Nobara getting hit that hard was pretty insane. It was really cool the way that it was done. Like, you're like, oh, like that's like a hit that would have killed somebody else if it wasn't her, because it's like the way that it just like shook around her brain and her head. It's like, you probably need to go to the hospital for like brain trauma, but you're not going to. And so the fact that she's even like able to get words out is kind of incredible, because she's like so discombobulated at this point. You know, it just shows the difference in strength levels again. While she's super strong, there are some other like factors and curses and sorcerers at play in Shibuya right now that are just like so much stronger and experienced that they could bring somebody as strong as Nobara literally to her knees.
Yeah, I think this scene was really cool. Again, if I'm not mistaken, the way that this was animated was when she got punched and like they were showing like the brain trauma, they flashed it to like a black and white screen, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Do you guys remember that? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and so like the way that they like really just put that scene in bold, if you will, to show how painful that must have been. Nonetheless, she did put up a good fight. I thought in the opening moments of the fight, she was doing really well. Like, she had her hammer, she had some good counters in there, but nonetheless, Haruta was a little too strong. And also, that hand on the sword thing, we were talking about hands last episode, the hand thing, it's kind of creepy. I don't like the hand with the sword. It's a little weird.
And it's just like running around. It's like thing in the Addams Family and like Wednesday, you know? It's just like, anyway. But good news, Nanami is here. He's ripped, and people were posting on Twitter like the difference between season 1 Nanami and season 2 Nanami, and Mappa, you little bastards. JJK's for the girls and the gays. I'm just saying, because you think about fan service in anime, it's always aimed at straight men. Like, it's the girls with the boobs. No. Mappa's like, look, JJK, they've been feeding us with beautiful men. And they know that they've got all of the girls and the gays watching.
This is the female gaze.
Honestly, we're renaming the podcast The Girls and the Gays, and that's it.
I mean, and the days.
Oh my god. Just look at him. Okay, let me get it together.
Emily putting glasses on.
I don't want to blink.
I'm holding them open wider so I can see more.
Yeah, exactly. Mappa knows what they're doing. I'll just say that. Nanami has come in to save the day, and Haruta is screwed. He tries to fight back. He's not able to like land one hit on him. He's like a wall. Nanami's just like standing there. We get like close up on all of his muscle. And then Nanami asks this question over and over again. What is the number and locations of your allies? So, fun fact, Kenjiro Tsuda, yes, Nanami's voice actor, he actually asked to re-record the scene because he wanted to sound scarier. He thought his original performance of it, once he kind of started to see more of the scene, he was like, oh no, I gotta be scarier than that. We love legendary voice actors doing stuff like that here in this house, but let's talk about this scene because...
Bro. Oh my god, this scene, this entire back half of the episode filled with Nanami, like, fan service, my god. I'll let Emily talk more about Nanami. I'll just talk about Kenjiro. I think it's so admirable when voice actors like reflect on their own performances. You know, we talk about Natsuki Hanae a lot because he's obviously Tanjiro's voice actor, and we love him and his amazing performances. I think this one definitely is up there for me as a voice acting performance. Like, there are times in acting or voice acting that I remember for sure. This is one of them. Madara Uchiha, when he says, "I am the ghost of the Uchiha." Like, those three are like now in my top forever. Like, it is just amazing to see how well like these voice actors can really bring these characters to life, and I think he just did an amazing job at doing that.
So I definitely have thoughts. Thoughts from somebody who looked at Nanami and felt a little like a thought.
Oh gosh.
So on that note, Nanami. So female gaze, I'm just gonna say, like, 100% the way that this is being done and has been done in the manga, enhanced by the anime, if you ask me, leads me still to believe that there is the strong possibility that Gege is a woman, because I just don't know that men could do this. I'm gonna be real honest. I don't know that men are capable of doing this to us. He looks so good, and he's so damn scary, but I'm like, yes, scare me, daddy. I don't know what they were feeding this man between season 1 and season 2, but like, he just turned into a true beefcake, and I am gonna look respectfully and disrespectfully. And I will continue to. This will be my Roman Empire, is this season, and all of these beautiful, beautiful men, but Nanami is my man in particular. And so this, this is just chef's kiss. As far as the voice actor re-recording the scene, I think that's really cool, because one funny comparison between the anime and the manga is actually that Nanami does not really look as scary or any, like, he seems much more like the Nanami that we've come to know, I think, in the panels of the manga. And so Gege came out and like gave like the little author's note about this too, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Nanami was like a lot scarier. That's good. I should have done that."
I love that.
And I just think that that's like a really fun change that they took some liberty with. In addition to the scene that we just talked about at the beginning, I think this is some of that crazy girl energy coming out because he's pissed.
Yeah,
and I love to see it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Different vibes from season 1, I would say, and it started with the beginning of this episode for sure. Yeah, shout out to, I feel like I tend to focus in on Hanai-san, but like honestly, there's so many talented voice actors that put their heart and souls into the work that they do, and Kenjiro is no exception to this rule at all, nor is any of these voice actors in this show. They give their all 100% of the time. We're so spoiled. Even, I would say, Gojo's dub, Kaiji Tang, I believe, he also does like Sanemi. He's really a solid voice actor as well. From the clips that I've heard, he does a very good job. He really honed in on the sexy Gojo in the episodes a few ago too. So moving on though, not exactly. So Haruta says he doesn't know the number and locations of his allies. And he's not even able to finish his sentence when Nanami hits him with the greatest punch I've ever seen. Haruta, of course, survives because of his curse technique. He even says, he's like, "Am I dead? No, I'm alive because of my curse technique." I'm like, okay, all right, cool. But he is quaking in his boots. Nanami continues to ask the question. This time, and this is the meme we all saw on the internet, he's grabbing his ponytail. I kind of want to be Haruta right now.
Kind of. No, I'm going to be doing my hair like this from now on. I'm like, got the Jojo Siwa going on.
I'm just gonna put my hair in a ponytail.
All of us are ready. I am ready to be.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I don't have a ponytail, so I don't know how well it would work for me, but he can pull my hair as much as he would like. I would let Nanami literally do whatever he would like with me and be absolutely okay with it.
He could like punch me across the room the same way. He wouldn't though. I just know that he would treat me right. He would never lay hands on a woman. I just know it.
But he could
my
punch me
God.
across the room and I would say,
Thank you.
arigato gozaimasu.
Literally. I would say, can I have some more, please?
Pizza.
Can I have some more?
Oh my God.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so Nanami makes quick work. And by that, I mean he's going so hard on this guy that the electricity is, like, going out. He's, like, breaking the wall. Haruta tries one last trick with his sword hand thingy, but Nobara does back Nanami up. She seems to be, like, getting her senses again. Nanami is showing, like, complete anger and vengeance over the assistant supervisors he found dead, and I feel like we can circle, like, back to the opening now. This is why I fell in love with Nanami this episode. Like, it's all fun and, like, to sit here and be like, oh, like, what he's doing is super hot, and it was. But I even texted Brian and Emily after this episode, and I was like, what really got to me and what really was like, oh, I like this guy, I'm, like, falling in love, it was his desire to protect these students here that were very badly injured and to avenge the colleagues that he found dead. That had me hard eyes. How about you?
Yeah, I think Nanami I've always liked a little bit because of his curse technique. I always found that 3/5 very cool. Just because, like, if you hit anything at 3/5 of its, like, length or of its, like, core, you can break it. But I've always kind of liked him, but this just made me fall a little bit more in for him because literally this man, like, cares so much that, like, his anger, like, is flowing through, like, and you can tell it feels like it's almost coming out of the screen at certain points, and the way that they animate him to look just so fucking pissed, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, he's not gonna, under his watch, let anything happen to any of his people ever again. We saw that. It cut him like a knife, and now he's lost his cool, even though his version of losing his cool is still pretty cool. Pretty level-headed version of anger. He's trying to get some information out of this, but I think he's assessed the situation and Haruta's curse technique as well, because, and we haven't learned, like, that much about this yet, but essentially, like, he stores up those little miracles that he mentioned, like, so little, like, just a bunch of things, just, like, you know, catching, like, exactly a weird time that's, like, your angel numbers or whatever, things like that, and they become those marks, like, under his eyes. And in this fight, Nanami has knocked out at least 3 of them, and basically he's like a cat. When those are gone, that's the end of your lives. So Nanami's trying to get this information out of him, but, like, this could very easily result in just, like, a kill for the sorcerer's side, and he's just using his fists to square up. When he went flying, like, through the building, like, into, like, the concrete of the next one, I was just, like, beside myself. I'm like, because the only other people that are, like, physically even close to this level that we've seen are Toji, I think, with, like, just a punch, and maybe Yuji with a little bit more training. But I love seeing it from Nanami because you don't super expect it.
Well, Nanami's the one that, compared Yuji to last episode, right? When Yuji was punching at it, he was like, man, you're, like, right up there with Nanami-san, which was really, really cool. And then to see Nanami come in here and be like, he absolutely slayed. I watched him punch Haruto, like, across the way probably 100 times. I was just like, yep, just rewind. Yep, rewind. Yep, rewind. Yep, okay. Not good enough. Rewind again. But after all that, we do jump back over to Mei, girl boss over here. She has caught up with Pseudo Geto, and she's facing off against him. Of course, she also believed him to be dead. She's the literal only second person who, knew him from the past and is now seeing him again. She's a bit surprised, but she's like, no, he is dead. Something's going on. But after a few words, Pseudo Geto locks her into his domain where she's like, wait, is it him? Because he's using the same curse technique. But she seems to be doing well inside this domain expansion. She gets like crushed by a rock, but then is like, it's been a minute since someone's tried to threaten my life. And her little brother's like, he's so weird. Why is he there? Why is he there? We then go back to Nanami with Nobara and Nita, and he's very different with them. But he tells them that Ijichi is alive, is what I got from this conversation. And he also tells them to escape. As Nobara says that she wants to fight, Nanami says that his skill level, which we just saw him completely decimate this man, his skill level is the minimum that is needed for this fight. What did you think of this statement, as well as Mei-Mei's short fight here with Geto?
Mei-Mei's fight with Geto is interesting because Geto was one of her classmates also. So I think that even though she wasn't necessarily as close as like some of the other students were, she obviously recognizes him right away and realizes that like something is off, even though he had his own dark human ending. And is probably aware of everything that, like, you know, everything that went down in, like, JJK0 and is just, like, immediately working through solutions. But it's like, I'll humor him. I'll humor whatever this is for now. And then the domain expansion, to me, this is, like, one of the scariest ones that we've seen because it's very simple. Immediately, she's, like, up against one of what's probably the oldest curses that we've seen so far because it's the smallpox curse is, like, what we saw in the subtitles. And I think about like the centuries of like pain and like devastation and loss for like years before there was like a medicinal cure. Like something about that just like immediately like sent shivers down my spine. I'm like, I don't know that she can get out of here, you know? Like there's just something very ominous about that. So we'll have to see. We didn't get a resolution on that this episode, but I don't really like the way that it's going and that it's coming out of Geto. It's pretty scary because it's like, how old is this guy? That's like this sorcerer that's in Geto's body that we know about. And like, why does he have control of things like the smallpox curse?
Yeah.
Not good. Not good. And he's using that for Mei-Mei, who is like probably a distraction for him. So like, what else does he have up his sleeve? Probably not good. As far as Nanami saying that his skill level is the minimum needed for this fight, yeah. I mean, technically Mei-Mei's the same level as Nanami. They're both considered like the grade 1 sorcerers. So I think that that's correct. It's the minimum needed. And also what's inherently in that statement but left unspoken is like that might not be enough either. And the only grade that exists above 1 is special grade, which is pretty much like Gojo and very few other people. So like even if they can go in and win a couple of these, they might not be able to win the whole city back. So he's at least going to try to protect his students. And he's like, if I sent you in, it would be sending you immediately to the slaughter. And I'm not going to do that, but I will do everything I can to protect you.
Yeah, I appreciate Nobara's sentiment there, but I don't think she really realizes what she's up against. And I think it might be some of the like adrenaline pumping through her that she still wants to fight. But there's no way she would have been able to keep up. Like, realistically, looking at what's going on with her and going on with the rest of the city, like, there's no way she would have been able to keep up. And I think it's really honorable of Nanami to, like, say, like, no, you can't do that. Like, I need you to get in, like, and be safe. And I think that's really important. And I also think it's really vulnerable of kind of Nanami to... While left unsaid, I think it was very well understood and very vulnerable that he might not even be enough. And so I think that was a really cool way of putting kind of that sentiment into that little conversation they had.
Yeah, I mean, it's anime, so I know that Nobara and all of them are going to end up fighting. Like, they're not going to end up escaping. Like, they probably will try to escape, and then they'll get caught up in a battle. But it was definitely pretty mind-blowing for him to say that, you know, that his level is minimum when we've always seen him as like top of the line here. So definitely eerie, definitely I'm waiting for a shoe to drop, like something horrible to happen, because everyone tells me that it's gonna happen, but we'll see. Finally, this episode does close with Yuji approaching Choso. So The latter, of course, just a few episodes ago, was very hell-bent on killing Yuji. With Nanami's statement, as well as Choso's desire to avenge his brothers, how do we think Yuji stacks up?
Oh, Choso. Now, I haven't said anything about this yet, because I don't want it to be brave yet controversial. But Choso?
Are you
Kinda-
excited for Choso?
We all agree Choso's fine, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay,
That's a
okay.
popular opinion. Oh, everyone's
thank
in
God.
love with Choso. He's like the one of the show where it's like, okay, I'm just in love with a bad man. That's pretty much what it is.
Okay, glad we're all on the same page, but knowing what we know so far about Choso and his curse technique, right? We talked about it a couple episodes ago when Gojo was doing his domain expansion for the 0.2 of a second. The blood coming out of his eyes. So it's a really interesting curse technique to, square up against Yuji, who has no curse technique. He has pretty good hand skills. However, I don't know really what's going to be kind of moving forward here. Is he going to be able to get in close, or will Choso be able to keep his distance and kind of go forward from there? It's a tough question.
Yeah, I think in that way, I'm interested to see how it does go down, because it's not necessarily a great match, kind of similar to Nobara fighting. But could this go a little bit different? Could I be wrong? Like, maybe it's balanced because it is so different, and like Yuji is better at close combat and Choso is better at long distance combat. Like, we're gonna have to see. But I feel like, to me, like, just my initial impression of these two, Choso's definitely dangerous. Like, blood manipulation is like, anytime there's any kind of blood power in any anime, it freaks me out, because it's like, okay, well, can you only use blood that's outside of a body? Because if you can use blood that you can just like control and like kill somebody from inside their own body without even touching them, that's horrifying to me. We're gonna have to see a little bit more of Choso's techniques, because we just haven't seen that much of him yet. We're gonna get to, which I'm really excited about. But I actually kind of think, as far as like experience, he's probably on a similar level to Yuji. In some ways, they remind me of each other, although on like very opposite sides of the fight at this point. I think that they may be a little bit more similar than different. So I'm interested to see how this one plays out.
Honestly, I do think they kind of give me, and I think Emily's going to hella disagree with this, but I think they kind of give me Naruto and Sasuke vibes.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you were going to say that Choso is nothing like Sasuke, but...
Well, Choso's definitely got brother issues, so...
Oh!
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I know what you mean, Emily, when you talk about blood manipulation. Jordan and I actually just watched in Black Clover the Queen of Witches.
Yes!
So we like saw her blood manipulation, and that was freaking terrifying. Like, I was like getting chills from like what she could do, and it kind of also the same, like going all the way to like Avatar: Last Airbender with blood bending, and how like Katara outlawed that because it was just such a, like, in her mind there was no real good reason to use it other than to literally control humans and kill them very easily. So yeah, blood manipulation is very scary. That is a power that I would never want to be up against when my power is like punching. I think that it's gonna be it's gonna be an interesting fight for sure. I'm really excited to see where that goes. That's about all the time we have today. Any final thoughts before we move into our favorite moments?
We're just really getting into it now, and I'm so excited. Like, even as somebody who has read the manga, it's so fun seeing it this way, and like a completely fresh imagination from a studio that loves it, clearly. So I'm just really excited. We're really getting into the thick of things, so look forward to more.
To say what's crazy is we're halfway through the season. That was episode 12 of the season as a whole. So we've probably got about 12 left, I think, or 13.
We're in the thick of it. We're recording this on a Wednesday, and I am so excited for tomorrow's episode because I think I know where this is going. I think I know what's coming next, and I'm very excited.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. All right. Well, on that note, we're definitely running out of time here. So let's move into our favorite moments of the episode. Emily, I'm so sorry I'm taking this from you. You can have the same one as me because my favorite moment was everything Nanami related. I almost got to the point where I felt more hype for it than I felt for Gojo fighting Hanami and Jogo. I think they're pretty evened out here, but I was really not expecting to feel the way I felt over Nanami. I think the internet did help it along a little bit because I didn't get to watch the episode until the weekend because of like my schedule. I hate that it's airing on Thursdays. It's like the worst day for it to air, but it is what it is. And I think that the internet did influence it a little bit. However, all I had seen was like one picture of him. So I was shocked by everything that he did and loved every second of it.
I'm going to have to agree. My favorite moment is everything with Nanami, but I'm kind of loving the sight of Hannah. She was like texting in the group, like, so inadvertently that might actually be my favorite part of the episode because Hannah like will simp, but like we don't usually get the text messages in the group chat, guys, that are like you know, but she's like literally, Nanami, pull my hair now.
Bro, you just like, threw her under the bus.
But that's kind of like actually, I mean, we've all known that I love Nanami. I don't think that that's exactly a secret to anybody listening at this point. So like that's what you expect. But I was dying at those texts. So I think like for me, even though that's not technically part of the show, that's my favorite thing that's happened this week as a result of it. And I love that Hannah's on my side. So good. We love our blonde boys.
Whew. I think I'll take a different moment just to highlight some other parts of the episode. While I will say honorable mention to all Nanami items, I think I would call to Mei Mei when she's fighting the smallpox curse, and she's like, wow, I can't remember the last time my life was threatened. To see herself so invigorated by a threat like that, I think is really cool and telling of her character, because she has kind of been through a lot in her experience as a Jujutsu sorcerer, so I can tell that she's really trying to get through some of these really tougher times, and I think that she's, you know, not afraid of the challenge in front of her, and she knows what that challenge means in this overall, you know, instance of Shibuya, especially because she knows that Gojo is sealed, so she knows she has to succeed right now.
Good moments. And Emily, you know what? I deserved that.
We love you, Hannah.
Love you.
That was so funny though, because it was the last thing I expected, especially from you.
I'm like, have y'all seen the new episode? Can we talk about Nanami? Can he pull my ponytail? Oh man,
God, so good.
Well, Brian, you mentioning Mei Mei is also the perfect segue because I'm bringing back the Taisho era secret here.
Or so the Shibuya era secret.
No, we're gonna yeah. I don't want to do a Shibuya secret. Taisho era secret. Here we go.
Sadness.
Taisho kusokuso wasabanashi. See, I know how to. Well, actually, I guess I would just say Shibuya. Anyway, see, it messes up my brain. So, speaking of Mei Mei, as Brian was talking about, something interesting that I've noticed. First of all, we don't even get the translation of like big sister when he says Ne-sama. We just get Ne-sama, which I'm not saying that really properly. It's Ne-sama, but interesting that he refers to her as Ne-sama instead of Ne-chan or Ne-san. Sama is a very abnormal like suffix to use with Ne, which means older sister. They are family, I think. I guess maybe he looks just like her, so I'm pretty sure they're blood related. It kind of comes across as him like literally worshiping her or calling her like lady sister, essentially. That's like kind of what it roughly translates to. So it's kind of a weird vibe. You know, we hear Oni-chan a lot. Well, Oni is brother, One is sister. So like, can you imagine like Nezuko calling Tanjiro like Oni-sama? Like, that would just be weird because they're like brother and sister and they talk to each other very familiarly. So I found that very interesting, and yeah, a weird vibe. He's worshiping her and calling her lady sister. But that being said, that is all the time we have for today. So thank you all for listening in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening in on Spotify, don't forget to download the podcast. And as always, there will be a Q&A. If you want to hear us answer your question in a future episode, go ahead and throw that in there. We're also on social media, on Twitter or X as Hashira Half. We're on Instagram and TikTok as the Hashira Half Hour. We got a lot of fun things planned to come, so definitely give us a follow and turn on those notifications, turn on the bell on YouTube, all the fun things, and we will see you again for next week's episode. Yowaimo and Umai.
Ryoiki Tenkai. Yowaimo mai.
Yo, Imo. Where's the location and number of your enemies, allies?
Oh
God, we're getting more chaotic as we go on, and I think that's peak right there.
We're peaking now.
No, never